Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. That was funny, OP. I died when that kid bit the metal leg, and yes, I would say this post is legendary. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Bit off more than he could chew. I was not there, but this was the story as told. My uncle, technically Mom's uncle, but we call him that, is a veteran. He lost a leg in the Marines and had to get a replacement. He didn't like the way the plane rods felt and looked, so he had one that looked more like a real leg. When he wore long pants, you couldn't tell he'd been wounded except for a slight limp. He calls it his robot leg. We live in a tiny town with a tiny town store. There's this kid who's there a lot, and his favorite thing is to bite people while they're waiting in line. I think he must be related to the people who own the place, but he's a pain in the butt, and they don't do anything about him. He's like 6, so way too old to be biting people. So my uncle's in town and goes to the store to get candy because he always brings candy when he visits. He's in line, and Bitey McBiteface starts his usual thing of annoying people and then biting them when they won't give him what he wants. My uncle's watching and waiting for someone to stop him, but no one does. Uncle gets near the front of the line, and the kid comes up to him. I guess he wanted the candy, and Uncle told him no. Bitey doesn't like this, so he walks off, sneaks up behind my uncle, and chomp, tries to bite that solid resin leg. Then he runs off screaming. Uncle laughs, people in line laugh, and the kid's probably on his way to the dentist. Your uncle should have taken his leg off and said, "Ow, you bit my leg off." That would most likely scar the kid for life, but he probably wouldn't do that again. And our second story. You said 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. I work for a trucking company, and they made sucrose for different food plants in the area. Turkey Hill, Pepsi, etc. My job was to wash the inside of the liquid sucrose trailers so they could be reloaded. This was done by hooking them up to an automated wash system. I drove the lot, picked up an empty trailer, took it to the 2-trailer wash bay building, hooked it up and ran the cycle, then parked the wash trailer in the loading staged area. I was hired as a temp to replace the previous first shift guy who injured his knee. When I was hired, him and a guy who kinda knew the job taught me how to do it, but there was only one official first shift person who knew the job, and the other could just kind of fumble his way through it. Then there was a second shift guy who knew the job as well. The job required you to be extremely active. You worked in a room that would sometimes seem like it rained from all the steam condensing on the ceiling because you were washing 2 at a time with 190-plus degree water for a 20-minute session. I ended up being hired full-time from the temp agency. The company actually bought out my contract because I was doing so well, and the first shift guy ended up retiring due to his injury. About a year later, the second shift guy quits out of nowhere, so they hire a new guy, and now I have to train him. This guy is less than good at the job. I keep telling management that, but, they're management. Eventually, he ends up dropping a trailer off the lift truck before putting the lift down, bending the landing gear, and doing $11,000 in damage. Anytime there's an accident, they require a drug test. He tested positive for cocaine and was fired. I ended up having to do first and second shift by myself since I was the only person who knew the job. It wasn't that bad because second shift didn't have as many trailers, so a 10-hour day and I'd usually be done. Eventually, they hired a new guy, very, very big fellow, and this didn't seem like a fit for him. About 3 months in, the loaders come over because there's no clean trailer staged. They found him passed out on top of a trailer. They honestly thought he had a heart attack or something, but it turned out he was just drunk, so he got fired. Guess who's back to working both shifts? At first, it wasn't too bad. I could get 4 trailers done in an hour, so 32 in an 8-hour shift if I'm busting butt. There was literally no way to do it any faster since there's a 20-minute wash cycle, and you still have to pull 2 trailers in and hook them up. Normally, there were about 25 trailers for the first shift and 8 to 10 for second shift. But then a company that took 5+ dry trailers a shift for first and 3 to 5 a shift for second tripled their order for wet trailers due to these on-site processing plant going down. I went from 10-hour days to working from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. for like a month straight in the summer in a building that got about 10 degrees hotter than the ambient air was. I kept telling my supervisor, my plant manager, and the company manager that I couldn't keep this up. I kept being told I had to do my job, do as you're told. Well, time I worked from 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. Thursday and back in at 5:30 a.m. Friday, that was the day I caused $5,000 in damages. I backed a trailer out without unhooking it first, ruining the hoses, and pulling a pump off the mounts. So now I had to get drug tested, and since the last two guys failed on the drive there, my manager asked me if I was going to fail. I said it depends on what they test for. He said they test for everything. I asked if that included caffeine and exhaustion. He just kind of blankly looked at me, then turned back to the road. Drug test passed, taken back to work. Now I only have one wash bay to use due to the damage I caused, and I have to back it in because it's the first bay that's broken in a pull-through setup, and maintenance is there repairing it. I ended up being there till almost 1 again. Monday I come in, having almost fell asleep on the drive. I pulled my manager aside, the plant manager aside, and the owner's son aside. They all said, just got to do the job I was hired to do what I'm told. They said they're working to find a new person, so I just need to keep doing my trailers. So Tuesday, that's what I did. When I was hired, I was told my schedule was 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., and the trailers in that time slots were mine, along with the first two second shift trailers, if they were there by 2:30 p.m. So I got there at 7, did only the first shift trailers and second shift trailers as I was told when I got hired, and clocked out at 3 p.m. I shut my phone off and took my girlfriend to the fair. The next morning, I went in at 7 again and got to work. The supervisor and plant manager get in at 9, and at 9:05, they're in my office. I get escorted to the office of the owner's son, where he proceeded to chew me out for a solid 45 minutes. I just sat there and let him rant. Turns out, once I left, my supervisor and plant manager had to do my job. And since they were supervisors and plant managers, obviously they were trained in the position and knew exactly what to do. They managed to do 4 trailers from 5 p.m. when they realized I left until midnight. This is the same amount I could do in an hour. So once his rant was over, I said, well, clearly, you're not going to fire me. He was taken aback. I continued, you have no one who can do my job. You didn't take me seriously when I said I couldn't do it alone anymore, and so I decided I'd show you how important I was. I got a kid and a life outside this job. The pay's great, but I'm not going to kill myself to get it and put in 90 to 110-hour weeks in the dead of summer. You said 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. when I got hired. That was what I was told, so that's what I did. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to give me a raise and 3 weeks paid vacation. You're going to let me pick the guy who takes second shift. If you can't find someone willing to take second, I'll train them on first and transfer to second when they're fully trained. But I'll get the shift differential on top of my raise if I do that. He looked at me like I just robbed him. But then after a solid 5 silent minutes, he agreed. See, each trailer that didn't get washed the night before was assessed a late fee by the company who it went to, anywhere from $500 to $5,000, and just last night I'd cost them $21,000 in fees. I think he realized that would quickly be a problem if they had no one to wash any trailers. We ended up pulling over the guy who kind of knew how to do the job from first shift that helped train me when I started there. He took first shift and I went to second. I ended up being the highest paid employee in the wet department, and any department that wasn't management or QC actually, in only 2 years of being there, when there were guys who'd been loaders for 15 plus years. I stayed another year or so, but eventually it was more nonsense and I had my fill. Management hire the most naive and gullible people they can find, work them till they drop, then blame the employee for failure when the inevitable happens. Repeat cycle, repeat cycle, repeat cycle. And our last story. Your trash cans may only be out at specific times. We live in an HOA, and if you don't, lucky you. We've never had any real problems. They don't do much other than make sure the park and gardens look good. Anyhow, for whatever reason, they decided to add a new rule. It wasn't needed, but I guess they got bored and wanted something to do. Maybe someone kept leaving their trash cans out all week. Fine, just ask them not to. It's not that hard. The new rule states when trash cans can be put out. They can't be out before 6 a.m. on Wednesdays and must be put back before 6 p.m. the same day. This is obviously stupid and has a few problems. First of all, some people use a different company. The HOA provided one goes on Wednesday, and it's cheap, so most people use it, but you don't have to. Some people have theirs go Monday or Tuesday. Also, a lot of people here work in the medical field and just aren't home during those times, so no one's there to put out or bring in cans. So a few of us got together on how to comply, but be annoying about it. We decided to comply with their set times as best we can, take it out at 6 when a lot of us go to work or go for a morning walk, and take it back in at 6 since most of us are home. Some of us help by taking others' bins to the street if they're at work. But when it's time to take out the trash, do it as loud as effing possible. Bin has wheels, drag it. Got it to the street, make sure it's firmly placed on the street. Need to take out another bag? Slap it in there and let the lid slam shut. For those who have trash go out on other days, comply with the times, but do it on your trash day, then also put them out on Wednesday as required. If you can, leave trash in them and leave the lid open so it would bake in the sun all day. Yes, it did smell like hot trash. That's the point. After 3 weeks of this, an email was sent out. The rule was thrown out, and we all were simply asked to put out and take in our cans within a reasonable amount of time, preferably on trash day. Was it really that effing hard to ask nicely? Why not just address whoever was the problem? Know that because an HOA rule was changed, a lawyer was paid to look over it before the CC&R could be updated. That means this stupid rule cost every resident money. Edit. We already voted out one member of the board who we know's the problem. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.